$212 a month for a 3-bedroom house in the Philippines. Yes, not a mistake. And if you're living in the US, you're surprised by that. But the low price wasn't the only reason we moved here. Back in the US, every morning for me was emails, traffic, and the feeling of having to run faster just to not fall behind. But here, every morning I wake up to the sound of wind through the trees and a new day that truly feels lighter. In this video, I will explain everything. The real costs, the real risks, water, electricity, healthcare, safety, and whether you can actually live here or not. If you're exhausted by high expenses, heavy pressure, and want a life that feels easier, then this video is the map you've been looking for. Watch till the end, because the truth is about to surprise you. Dream it. Pack it. Go. 1. These are the things that 100% of people ask when they hear 212 month. I know the questions popping into your head are exactly the ones I asked before moving here. Is something this cheap hiding risks? Is life here safe? Is the water strong, or does the shower just drip? Does the power go out? What are the real monthly costs? Is healthcare reliable? And most importantly, if I truly want to live in the Philippines, are the visa and paperwork a hassle? All of those questions are very real, and they are things most foreigners only find out after they've already moved here, when it's too late to turn back. That's why I want to speak honestly and clearly right from the start. This video is not a sugar-coated video, and not the kind of cheap paradise story. This is my real experience, both good and bad, both the easy parts and the things you need to prepare yourself for before deciding to live in a completely new country. To give you a quick picture, in the US, a small 1-bedroom apartment can cost from $2,500 to $2,500. Here, $212 for a spacious 3-bedroom. This number alone is enough to make many people rethink their lives. The next few minutes will show you the full picture of life in the Philippines, the living costs we are paying each month, how safe it feels during the day and at night, how water and electricity work in residential areas like this, the things you need to know about the healthcare system and insurance, and of course the visa options that allow you to live long-term here. I will say exactly what I wish I had known earlier, clearly, realistically, and without avoiding any detail. If you've ever thought about leaving an expensive city, slowing down, or building a new life in a place that costs less but still has comfort and peace, then this is the video you cannot walk away from halfway. And for you to understand where this whole story began, let me take you out there, where I built my $212 life piece by piece. 2. The outdoor space, where I found peace again. Before stepping inside, I want you to spend a few seconds taking in this space. Because in the Philippines, every living experience begins outside the door. This isn't just a small road or a simple yard. It is the picture you open your eyes to every morning. It is the smell of sunlight, the distant sound of motorbikes, the wind slipping through the trees, the kind of peace you can hardly find in any big city. And the moment I stood here for the first time, I understood why $212 here is worth far more than that number on paper. This neighborhood is not a luxury area and not a tourist zone. It is a typical middle-class community in the Philippines. Clean, orderly, friendly neighbors, children playing outside without worry, adults talking under the shade of trees in the late afternoon. A kind of peace that is very rare, and that we had lost during the years living in busier places. You can clearly feel the pace of life here is slower, lighter, and almost gentler. You don't realize how stressed you've been until you're in a neighborhood where the afternoon is filled only with the sound of children playing and leaves brushing against each other. The small yard in front of the house is where we began creating home in the truest sense. When we first moved in, the yard was just a simple empty space. But in a tropical country where the sun can scorch and the rain can pour at any time, you quickly understand why the outdoor area matters more than any piece of furniture inside. And then there is something that anyone who wants to live in the Philippines has to learn to prioritize: water. It sounds simple, but water here is not always strong, and sometimes it even gets cut off on a schedule. In the US, water is almost stable 24/7 and you pay around 40-60 USD per month. Here, water is much cheaper, only 6 to 9 USD, but you have to create the stability yourself with a tank and a pump. That's why we installed a 200-liter tank and a pressure pump from the very first day. A decision more correct than any expensive item, because it ensures that every shower is comfortable, every load of laundry runs smoothly, and there's never a moment when you have to stand there waiting for water to drip out. This little yard is also where we park the motorbike, a vehicle that is almost mandatory if you want to live comfortably in the Philippines. Having a roof means the bike isn't ruined by sun or rain, no rust, no unexpected breakdowns. Just a small detail, but it makes daily life smoother and much more pleasant. If you look quickly, you might think this is just an ordinary front yard. But when living in a country like the Philippines, you will understand that quality of life doesn't lie in luxury, but in how each small detail helps you live more naturally. Light, wind, trees, water, shade, all of these create the foundation that makes this $212 house not just a place to stay, but a place that makes you feel safe and able to breathe easily every day. And that is exactly why I wanted to take you around outside first. Because when you understand this context, you will see the house inside from a completely different perspective. Not as cheap, but as worth it. Now let's step inside with me, where the real story opens. 3. Inside the house, where real life begins. Now let's step inside this house with me, where I actually live every day. This house is not the kind of perfect home tour you've seen online. All the furniture had to be bought and installed by ourselves, and each item is tied to a small story. The living room is where I spend most of my evenings. Not luxurious, not elaborate, but spacious enough to watch movies, work, and quiet enough to feel the comfort that we didn't have before. In the Philippines, most rental houses are completely empty, and this one is the same. No air conditioning, no kitchen supplies, no water heater. Everything had to be added from the start. This imperfection is what makes me like it even more. It's not the nicest house I've ever lived in, but it is the first place where I feel I don't have to race with life anymore. Walking into the kitchen, you'll see the simplicity but practicality of a long-term living family. A few hanging shelves, an inverter refrigerator to save electricity, an induction stove bought online because store prices are more expensive. There isn't much space, but enough to cook the meals we like. The main bedroom is simple but comfortable. An inverter air conditioner is something you cannot live without, because the temperature here is no joke. As for the bathroom, we had to install the water heater and accessories ourselves. Thanks to the water tank and pressure pump, showering here is strong enough that you can feel the difference clearly. The second room became a storage room, true to the nature of a long-term living home. And my workspace is where I place my computer, install a separate air conditioner, and turn it into a creative corner. This space is not perfect. The walls are a bit old, the window is worn. But that very imperfection makes the house feel more real, more peaceful. It's not for showing off. It is a place to live. I share everything I wish I had known earlier before moving here. If that helps you, don't forget to hit subscribe. 4. The real cost of living. The number that shocks many people. The biggest expense is rent. $212 month for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with a large yard. Meanwhile, in the US, a small 1-bedroom apartment can be from $1,500 to $500. This difference alone is enough to make many people rethink their entire lifestyle. Electricity fluctuates around $105 to $115 month, even though we run the inverter air conditioner almost 24/7. Water is much cheaper, only about $6.9 month thanks to the tank and pump that helps save and stabilize pressure. 25 Mbps fiber optic internet is around $21 month, enough for working online, watching movies, and smooth video calls. Food expenses for 2 people, mainly cooking at home, average $140 to $180 month. Fruits, vegetables, and local meat are cheap and fresh. Eating out occasionally is only about $3–4 meal person. Motorbike fuel varies depending on travel, but mostly falls into $10 to $16 month. Small expenses like repairs, stove gas, and household supplies add up to about $18 to $25 month. In total, the entire cost of living for 2 people usually falls into about $530 to $560 month, even less than the average rent in the US. And this isn't surprisingly cheap, but easy to breathe. A life where you have your own space, a slow pace, low costs, and the financial freedom that many people never thought they could reach. 5. How I found the $212 month house. Many people ask me, how did you find such a cheap house? And here's the real answer. In the Philippines, the best-priced homes are not online. We found this house because walking around the exact area we wanted to live in. Asking the neighborhood security guards and neighbors. Talking to the landlord directly instead of through an agent. Looking at many houses before deciding. Choosing a middle-class residential area, not a tourist area. Most houses on websites are 2 to 3 times more expensive. Cheap houses are in places only locals know. 6. The electrical system, internet. The things no one tells you. If there is one thing that foreigners are often shocked by when living in the Philippines, it is not the cost or the weather, but the electrical system. And I will be honest, you cannot understand the quality of life here until you understand how these things operate. Electricity is more expensive than in many countries in the region, and even more expensive than in the US at certain times. That's why inverter air conditioning is almost mandatory. It helps save 30–40% compared to regular units. Running it 24/7 is still cheaper than turning it on and off many times, thanks to the inverter's low-power maintenance mechanism. This is something anyone living long-term here understands. Saving money does not come from enduring the heat, but from using the right equipment. Internet depends entirely on each area. Some places run smoothly, like in the US. Some places start lagging even when watching YouTube at 720p. In Butuan, we use a stable fiber connection of around 25 Mbps, enough for online work. But if you plan to live far from the city center, check the signal first, because some areas only have mobile data. All of these things sound small, but they are more real than any advertisement. Understand them beforehand. You live comfortably. If not, you will be disappointed within the first few weeks. And that is why this section matters. It is the foundation of a comfortable life in the Philippines. Do you have any questions about life in the Philippines that I haven't answered? Leave a comment and I will compile them for the next video. 7. Healthcare and safety. The things everyone worries about before living in the Philippines. When moving to a new country, what most people worry about is not rent, not the weather, but healthcare and safety. And I will say this directly. The Philippines is not the place with the best healthcare system in Asia, but if you know how, you can still live very securely. In Butuan, we have 2 major hospitals and several private clinics, with decent quality, cleanliness, and costs far cheaper than in the US. A regular checkup is only around 500 to 800 pesos. Blood tests around 1,500 pesos. For cases requiring specialists, you can look for larger hospitals in nearby cities or fly to Manila, which many expats still do. The most important thing is insurance. A good private health insurance plan can be from 25 to 40 USD month, depending on age. It gives you peace of mind in emergencies, hospitalization, or surgery. Without insurance, costs are still cheaper than in the US, but they will become a burden. As for security, more practical than you expect. The area we live in has neighborhood cameras, familiar neighbors, and children play safely in the afternoons. There is no sense of unease or having to constantly be on guard as many people imagine about the Philippines. However, moderate caution is always necessary. Lock doors properly, do not leave your motorbike outside at night, and avoid bringing valuables when going to crowded areas. These are the same rules locals apply every day. To put it plainly, the Philippines is not perfect, but if you live the right way, it is much safer than what online headlines describe. And most importantly, you will feel like you belong here more than you think. Not long ago, I had a pretty bad stomach ache. The kind of constant dull pain that makes you consider going to the hospital immediately. In the US, just stepping into the emergency room could cost hundreds of dollars. But here, we went to a private hospital in the city. From getting a number to meeting the doctor took exactly 7 minutes. The doctor examined carefully, asked about medical history, ordered blood work and an abdominal ultrasound to make sure nothing serious was going on. The total cost, and I truly mean the entire cost, including consultation, tests, ultrasound, and medication to take home, was only about 22 USD. No surprise charges, no hidden service fees, no hours of waiting. Everything was quick, clear, and straightforward. If this were in the US, this amount wouldn't even be enough to pay for hospital parking. What I realized is, healthcare in the Philippines is not perfect, but it is not as frightening as many people think. If you have private insurance, costs are even lower, around 25 to 40 USD month depending on age, and when emergencies happen, you can still access quality medical services without sacrificing your entire bank account. This small case study can say something big. Living in the Philippines is not just about affordable living costs, but also the peace of mind that even when you're sick, everything stays within your control. 8. Visa, taxes, and procedures. Everything you need to stay in the Philippines legally. If you are considering living long-term in the Philippines, the first question is always, is the visa complicated? The good news is, much easier than you think. When you enter, you automatically receive a 30-day tourist visa. Before it expires, you can extend another 29 or 59 days right at the local immigration office, only needing your passport and a few minutes of paperwork. After that, you can continue extending in cycles of 1 month, 2 months, or 6 months, up to a total of 36 consecutive months without leaving the country. Many expats live this way for years. If you want something more stable, there are 2 popular options: SRRV, retirement visa, and the 13A visa for those with a Filipino spouse. SRRV is suitable for people over 35, requiring only a deposit in a Philippine bank, and you can live long-term, entering and exiting freely. The 13A visa allows you to legally reside Work freely and not need continuous extensions. Ideal if you have family here. Regarding taxes, most expats living on foreign income do not have to pay taxes in the Philippines, as long as you are not employed by a local business. If you work online, with income from the US, Canada, or Europe, you continue filing taxes in your home country as usual. Only if you do business in the Philippines or earn income from local sources do you need to pay taxes. No lawyers needed, no complicated paperwork. You just need to understand the right process, and everything becomes surprisingly doable. If you want me to make more in-depth videos about costs, visas, healthcare, or areas to live, please subscribe so you don't miss them. 9. Pros and cons. The truth about living in the Philippines. Living in the Philippines has many wonderful things, but also inconveniences that you must accept if you want to live long-term. And here is the truth. No sugarcoating, no hiding. The biggest advantage is definitely the cost. You can live comfortably with a spending level that is only a fraction of what you would spend in the US or Europe. Spacious houses, open space, cheap fresh food, affordable services, and friendly people. Along with that is the slow and peaceful pace of life, especially in medium and small cities. No traffic jams, no rush, no pressure. An environment where you can easily find balance again after many years of stressful living. But on the other hand, there are things you must get used to. Heat, very hot in the dry season, and humidity almost 24/7. You need good air conditioning to sleep and work. Power outages happen, especially in the provinces. Not long, but enough to make you consider getting a backup battery or a small generator. Weak water pressure and sometimes water cuts. That is why water tanks and pumps are almost an unwritten law for every house. And one more thing. Imported goods are extremely expensive, from cheese, foreign meats, to electronics. If you are used to Western-style food or like new tech devices, you will have to spend more. Life here can be wonderful if you understand the advantages and accept the drawbacks. And perhaps this honesty is what you need most to consider. Living in the Philippines is not a perfect life, but it is an easier life. And sometimes, that is all we need. 10. Life in Butuan. The reason we chose to stay. Living in the Philippines is one thing, but choosing to stay in Butuan is a completely different story. When we first came here, no one thought we would fall in love with this city so quickly. Butuan is not a bustling center, nor is it a noisy tourist spot. It is a city that is just enough, just big enough to have supermarkets, hospitals, stable internet, just small enough that every afternoon you can still hear children playing in the alley and the sound of wind passing through the trees. And it is exactly this just enough that creates its unique charm. The first thing that made us feel the special nature of Butuan is its pace of life. No one is in a hurry. No one is too stressed. You can take your motorbike, ride for a few minutes and reach the market, the supermarket, or your favorite eatery. Vegetables are cheap, fruits are fresh and seasonal, seafood comes straight from the morning market. Everything creates a simple and genuinely pleasant life. These things that seem small actually make each day much warmer. Then there are the people. Neighbors greet you every morning, trike drivers always smile, and anyone is willing to give directions even if you pronounce the street name incorrectly. Butuan carries a gentle energy that you only feel when you've lived here long enough, a kind of peace that many big cities have lost. Finally, there is the living space. Afternoons riding along the road beside the rice fields, evenings watching the sunset from the riverside, or simply walking through the quiet neighborhood. All of it makes us feel like we are living a lighter, slower, but fuller life. That's why when someone asks, why choose Butuan? The answer is very simple. Because here, we feel like we truly belong. If you've watched until this point, surely a thought has crossed your mind. Can I really live like that? And the answer is, you can. Absolutely you can. The Philippines isn't perfect, but it offers what many other places are taking away: peace, affordable living, and the feeling that each day becomes a little lighter. $12 a month isn't just a number. It's a reminder that sometimes a new life begins with a small change in direction. Thank you for following our journey. If you want to continue exploring life in the Philippines, real, clear, and without sugarcoating, don't forget to follow the channel. See you in the next video.